You're scrubbing a clean floor. Ariel Carter's hands froze on the mop handle. She looked up at the man standing in the marble entryway, perfectly still in a charcoal suit, watching her with dark, unreadable eyes. Have you ever tried so hard to be invisible that you forgot how to be seen? That was Ariel at 20 years old. Housekeeping uniform 2 sizes too big. Hands that wouldn't stop trembling no matter how tightly she gripped anything. She'd learned to make herself small. It had kept her alive this long, but Han Jae-gon noticed everything. "You're new," he said. His voice was quiet, precise. "Yes, sir. I'll stay out of your way." "That spot is already clean." Her hands stilled. She looked down at the floor, then back up at him. The sleeve of her uniform had ridden up slightly, exposing her left wrist. A scar, thin and pale, the kind that told a story. Jae-gon's eyes registered it for half a second before she yanked her sleeve down. But it was enough. Their eyes met. He saw it then. The thing she'd been hiding under practiced smiles and carefully chosen words. Pure, bone-deep terror. Not of him. Of something or someone else. Jae-gon's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. In his world of calculated moves and iron discipline, chaos was unacceptable. And this young woman standing in his foyer was drowning in it. Ariel had been working at the mansion for 2 weeks when she realized what made it different from every other place she'd cleaned. Silence, not the empty kind, the intentional kind. Every surface gleamed, every shadow fell exactly where it should. The artwork on the walls depicted dragons, black ones mostly, ascending through storms with perfect precision. Order. Absolute order. The mansion felt less like a home and more like a temple of order where everything had its place, its purpose, its rule. It was the opposite of the last 2 years of her life. She moved through the West Wing like a ghost, dusting bookshelves filled with volumes in multiple languages. Her supervisor had warned her. Mr. Han valued discretion above all else. No questions. No lingering, no mistakes. Ariel was good at all 3. She'd learned how to be nothing, how to take up no space, how to answer yes and no in the exact tone that made men stop looking at her like she was something to possess. Marcus had taught her that. Detective Marcus Reed, her ex-husband. 6'3" of muscle and charisma and a badge that made everyone believe him instead of her. Even now, 6 months after she'd finally escaped, her phone buzzed with messages that made her stomach turn. "You can't hide forever, baby. I miss you. We need to talk. I know you're working somewhere nice now. Proud of you. Don't make me come find you." She deleted them without reading past the first line. But the fear stayed. In the mansion's kitchen, she poured herself water with shaking hands. The glass slipped. She caught it just before it shattered against the marble counter. "Careful." Ariel spun. Jae-gon stood in the doorway, holding a leather portfolio. He'd moved without sound. "I'm sorry, Mr. Han. I didn't mean to." "You caught it." He set the portfolio on the counter. Reflexes like that come from practice. She said nothing. Safest response. He studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he opened a cabinet and retrieved a tin of honey ginger tea. He prepared 2 cups with the efficiency of someone who didn't waste movements. "Sit." It wasn't a request. Ariel sat. Jae-gon placed a cup in front of her. Steam rose between them, carrying the scent of ginger and something floral. "You're afraid," he said. Not a question. Not of ghosts or shadows, of something specific. Ariel's throat closed. "I'm fine, sir." Fine is a word people use when they're anything but. He sipped his tea. "In my house, I maintain order. That requires knowing what threatens it." His eyes held hers. "In my house, chaos is unacceptable. I'm not a threat." "No." His dark eyes settled on her with unsettling intensity. "But someone is threatening you." Her breath caught. How could he possibly? You check your phone every 7 minutes. You face the door whenever you enter a room. Yesterday, a delivery driver startled you and you flinched like he'd raised a hand to strike you. Jagon's voice remained measured, clinical. Someone hurt you, and you believe they still can. Tears burned behind Ariel's eyes. She blinked them back hard. I can handle it. Can you? The question hung in the air between them. Ariel had no answer that wouldn't sound like the lie it was. Jagon finished his tea and stood. This mansion operates on principles, Miss Carter. Loyalty, discretion, protection of what belongs under its roof. He paused at the doorway. That includes you. He left her sitting alone in the kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had gone lukewarm. For the first time in 2 years, something unfamiliar flickered in her chest. Not hope, not yet, but maybe the faintest possibility of it. What would you do if someone saw through your carefully built walls? If you're feeling this story, a like or subscribe helps us share more like it. And stick around. You'll want to see what happens next. Tony Park appeared in Jagon's office at midnight like he always did, through the side door carrying a tablet and the kind of information most people would kill to keep hidden. You were right to be curious, Tony said without preamble. He was Jagon's oldest friend, his strategist, the only person allowed to speak plainly in the Black Dragon's inner circle. Ariel Carter, 20 years old, married at 18 to Marcus Reed, detective with the LAPD, divorced 4 months ago after a 2-year nightmare. Jagon's fingers steepled beneath his chin. Nightmare. Hospital visits, 3 of them, all explained away as accidents. Broken wrist, concussion, bruised ribs. Tony's jaw tightened. Then she vanished. No forwarding address. Burned every social media account. Started over with nothing but a duffel bag and a fake sense of safety. And Reed? Still looking for her. Obsessively. Tony swiped through several screens. He's not just dirty, Jay. He's connected. Cambodian scam networks operating out of LA, money laundering through seized assets, using his badge to disappear complaints against him. Tony looked up. He's a predator with institutional protection. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Jagon's expression didn't change. It never did. But Tony had known him for 15 years, long enough to recognize the specific quality of stillness that meant someone had made a fatal mistake. He broke order, Jagon said quietly. In my house. His voice dropped even lower, each word deliberate. He broke my order, then I break his life. She's just an employee. She's under my roof. Jagon stood, moving to the window that overlooked the garden. Cherry blossoms drifted past like snow. That makes her my responsibility. And when someone threatens what's mine, I don't negotiate. Tony allowed himself a small smile. What do you need? Everything. Financial records? Communication logs? Every dirty secret Marcus Reed thinks his badge will keep buried. Jagon turned from the window. And do it quietly. I want him to feel safe right up until the moment he realizes he never was. Understood. Tony headed for the door, then paused. Jay, she doesn't know what you are. What we do. I'm aware. If she finds out, she'll find out when I choose to tell her. Not before. Jagon's voice carried absolute certainty. For now, she needs to feel secure. Actually secure. Not the illusion Marcus gave her while slowly destroying her from the inside. Tony nodded and disappeared into the shadows. Jagon stood alone in his office, surrounded by the weight of the empire he'd built. The Black Dragon wasn't a typical criminal organization. No drugs, no trafficking, no preying on the weak. They dealt in information, influence, justice for those the system had failed. And Marcus Reed had just become their next project. 3 days later, Ariel's phone rang at 2 a.m. She jolted awake in her small apartment above the mansion's garage, heart hammering. The number was blocked. She knew who it was before she answered. Her thumb hovered over the decline button, but Marcus had taught her. Ignoring him only made things worse. "Hello? There's my girl." His voice was warm, affectionate. The tone he used right before the switch flipped. "Miss me?" "What do you want, Marcus?" "Just to talk, baby. That's all. You disappeared on me. Hurt my feelings." A pause. "Nice place you're working at. Real fancy. Han Jae-gon, right? Businessman. Keeps a low profile." Ice flooded Ariel's veins. "How did you—" "I'm a detective, remember? Finding people is what I do." His voice hardened. "You can't hide from me, Ariel. You know that. We're connected. Forever. We're divorced. Paper doesn't change what we are." She could hear him moving, the rustle of fabric. "I've been patient, given you space, but it's time to come home now. We can work this out." "There's nothing to work out." "Don't." The word cracked like a whip. "Don't use that tone with me. I've been good to you. Better than you deserved. And this is how you repay me? Running away? Making me look like a fool?" Her hand was shaking so hard she nearly dropped the phone. "I'm not coming back." Silence. Long enough that she thought he might have hung up. Then, soft and deadly, "We'll see about that." The line went dead. Ariel sat in the darkness of her tiny room, every muscle locked tight. She should run, pack her bag and disappear again, change her name, dye her hair, become someone new. But she was so tired of running. A knock on her door made her gasp. "Ms. Carter." Jagon's voice steady and calm through the wood. "I saw your light on. We need to talk." She opened the door with her phone still clutched in one hand. Jagon stood in the hallway, dressed in dark slacks and a white shirt despite the hour. His eyes took in her tear-streaked face, her defensive posture. "He called," Jagon said. Statement, not question. Ariel's last wall crumbled. "How did you—" "Because I've been monitoring your phone since the day I realized you were in danger." He stepped inside without invitation, closing the door behind him. "Sit down before you fall down." She sat. He remained standing, hands in his pockets, watching her with that same unsettling attention. "Tell me everything," he said. "No more hiding. No more pretending you're fine." So she did. 2 years of hell poured out of her. The charm at first, the isolation from friends and family, the gradual escalation from criticism to control to violence. Marcus using his badge to erase police reports, taking her money, monitoring her every move, convincing her that no one would believe her over a decorated detective. "He said I was crazy," Ariel whispered. "That I made everything up. That I was lucky he loved me enough to put up with my problems." Jagon's expression remained neutral, but his hands had curled into fists. "He's not going to stop," Ariel continued. "He thinks I belong to him, and he's right. I can't fight him. He has the entire system on his side. He doesn't have me." The words were quiet. Absolute. Ariel looked up. "What?" "Marcus Reed operates under the assumption that his badge makes him untouchable. That institutional power is the highest form of protection." Jagon's dark eyes held hers. "He's wrong. Here, the rules belong to me. There are older forms of power, quieter ones, and I intend to introduce him to them." "I don't understand." "You don't need to, not yet." He moved toward the door, then paused. "But you should understand this. In my world, we have rules, simple ones. Protect the innocent, punish those who abuse power, maintain order." He glanced back at her. "Marcus broke my order. Now I break his life." The Black Dragon's network moved like water, invisible until it struck. Within 48 hours, Tony had assembled a file on Marcus Reed that would have ended 3 political careers and put a dozen people in prison. But Jagon didn't want simple exposure. He wanted complete destruction. The Cambodian connection is the key, Tony explained, spreading documents across the war room table. 5 other members of the inner circle sat in attendance: strategists, information specialists, a lawyer who'd never lost a case. Reed's been laundering money through a fake charity. The funds go to a scam operation in Phnom Penh. They target vulnerable people, promise them jobs, then trap them in compounds and force them to run romance scams. Jagon's jaw tightened. Human trafficking. Essentially, Reed takes a 20% cut. He's been doing it for 3 years, made over $2 million. And the badge? Protects him completely. Internal Affairs has gotten complaints, but Reed buries them, uses his connections, threatens witnesses. Tony looked up. He's untouchable through official channels. Then we don't use official channels. Jagon stood, moving to the window. Rain had started to fall, streaking the glass. We use his greed against him. Make him think he's found a bigger opportunity. Something too good to pass up. A trap. An invitation. Jagon turned back to the room. Marcus Reed thinks he's a predator. We're going to teach him the difference between a hunter and prey. The trap was elegant in its simplicity. Through carefully placed intermediaries, word reached Marcus about a new money laundering opportunity. A businessman, no names given, looking to move significant funds offshore. Needed someone with law enforcement connections, willing to pay handsomely. Marcus took the bait within 6 hours. He met the intermediary, one of Tony's people, at a dim sum restaurant in Koreatown. The conversation was brief, professional. Marcus was told he'd be contacted with details. What he didn't know: every word was recorded. Every transaction would be monitored. Every step he took was drawing him deeper into a web he couldn't see. Jagon watched the operation unfold from his office, multiple screens showing different angles. He's greedy, he observed, but not stupid. We need to make this look authentic. Already arranged? Tony replied. We're using real money, smaller amounts at first. Let him build confidence. And the Cambodian operation? We're feeding information to the FBI, slowly, building a case they can't ignore. When Reed goes down, the entire network goes with him. Jagon nodded. Good. I want him to confess everything himself, not because we forced him, but because he chose to, because his own greed made him careless. Meanwhile, in the mansion, Ariel tried to return to normal. But Jagon had quietly reassigned her from housekeeping to administrative work. She now organized files in the main office, handled correspondence, managed schedules, work that kept her close, protected. She didn't understand why he was being kind to her. Men like him, powerful, wealthy, dangerous in ways she was starting to suspect, didn't help people like her without wanting something. But when she asked him directly, he'd simply said, I told you. You're under my roof. That means something. 2 weeks into the operation, Marcus called her again. I know you're still there, he said. His voice had changed. Harder, more frustrated. Working for Han, getting comfortable. But you need to listen to me, Ariel. That man is dangerous. I've been investigating him. He's involved in some bad stuff. Ariel's grip tightened on the phone. You're investigating him? It's my job. And I'm worried about you, baby. You're in over your head. Let me help you. Come stay with me while I sort this out. She almost laughed. The manipulation was so transparent now that she had distance from it. I'm not in danger here. Yes, you are. His frustration was bleeding through. You don't know what you're dealing with. Han is... He's connected to organized crime. You need to get out of there before... Before what, Marcus? Before someone hurts me? Her voice was steady now, stronger than it had been in years. The only person who ever hurt me was you. Silence. Then, you're going to regret this. The line went dead. But this time, something was different. Ariel didn't shake, didn't cry, didn't immediately check the locks on her door. She walked straight to Jagon's office and knocked. "Come in." He was working at his desk, screens glowing with data streams. He looked up as she entered, immediately registering something had changed. "Marcus called," she said. "He's getting desperate. I think he's going to make a move soon." Jagon stood. "Are you frightened?" "Yes." Her honesty surprised even herself. "But I'm also angry. And I want to help." "Help how?" "However I can. I understand how he thinks, how he manipulates, how he corners people." She moved closer to his desk. "Let me be part of this. Not just someone you're protecting, someone who fights back." For a long moment, Jagon studied her. Then he nodded slowly and pulled up a chair beside his own. "Sit. Tell me everything about how Marcus operates, every pattern, every tell." His eyes met hers. "If you're going to fight, let's make sure you win." 3 days later, Tony burst into Jagon's office at dawn. "We have a problem." Ariel was there too. She'd started sitting in on strategy sessions, learning how the Black Dragon actually operated. She looked up sharply at Tony's tone. "Marcus drove by the mansion last night," Tony said, pulling up security footage on the screen. 3 times. Different vehicles each time. He's getting bold. Desperate. On the screen, they watched a dark sedan slow down near the gates. The driver's face was partially visible in the streetlight. Marcus, staring at the mansion like a wolf circling prey. Ariel's breath caught. "He found me." "He suspected," Jagon corrected. His voice was calm, but his jaw was tight. "Tony, double security. I want armed personnel at every entrance. No one gets within 50 feet of this property without clearance." "Already done." "And move up the timeline. I want the operation completed within 72 hours. Jagon's eyes were hard. "Marcus is cornered. That makes him dangerous. We end this now." After Tony left, Ariel remained seated, staring at the frozen image of Marcus on screen. Jagon moved to stand beside her chair. "This house is protected," he said quietly. "I understand." But her hands were shaking. "It's just seeing him that close. Knowing he's out there, looking for me. Look at me." She did. "He's a predator who's used to winning, used to control, but he's never faced something like the Black Dragon before." Jagon's voice was steady. "Sure. In 3 days this ends, I promise you." "What if something goes wrong?" "It won't. But if it does, if he somehow gets past my security, past my people, past every safeguard I've built." He paused, his eyes holding hers with absolute certainty. "He'll have to go through me first, and I don't lose." The operation moved into its final phase on a Tuesday night that smelled like rain and approaching thunder. Marcus had been working with the Korean businessman's intermediaries for 3 weeks. He'd moved money, deleted files, used his badge to run background checks on FBI agents who were supposedly investigating the operation. Every single action was documented, recorded, saved. Tony sat in the war room with Jagon, watching the final pieces fall into place. "He just sent the confirmation. He's moving the big shipment tomorrow night. $5 million through the charity account. He thinks it's his biggest score." "And the FBI?" "Ready. Internal Affairs is ready. Korean National Police are ready." Tony allowed himself a smile. "Reed's about to realize he was never hunting you. You were hunting him." Jagon's expression remained neutral. "Good. But we're not done. Marcus is most dangerous when he's cornered. He'll go for Ariel. We have security. It won't be enough. Men like him don't think rationally when they lose control." Jagon stood. "I want her in the main house tonight. Guest room, locked doors. And I want armed security outside." Tony nodded. "Understood. But Jay, She's going to have questions. About who we are. What we do. Then I'll answer them. Jagon headed for the door. She deserves the truth. All of it. Ariel was working late when Jagon found her in the library, organizing his collection of first edition Korean poetry. She looked up as he entered, surprised. He rarely sought her out. Usually, he just appeared wherever she happened to be, silent and observant. "We need to talk," he said. "About Marcus, about me, about what happens next." She set down the book in her hands. "Okay. Walk with me." They moved through the mansion in silence, past the dragon artwork and the perfectly placed shadows. Jagon led her to his private study, a room she'd never entered. Inside, the walls were lined with maps, cities highlighted, names connected by red strings, a whole invisible world mapped out in meticulous detail. "What is this?" Ariel whispered. "The truth." Jagon closed the door behind them. "I'm not just a businessman, Ariel. The Black Dragon is an organization. We deal in information, influence. We provide justice when the legal system fails. We protect people who can't protect themselves." Her breath caught. "You're careful with your next word," he said quietly. "Because once you say it, we cross a line we can't uncross." She looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd given her safety, who'd seen her fear and responded not with pity, but with action. "Mafia," she said. "You're part of the Korean mafia. A specific kind. We don't deal drugs. Don't traffic people. Don't prey on the weak." His dark eyes held hers. "We hunt predators. Like Marcus." Ariel's mind reeled. "You've been investigating him." "For 3 weeks. He's been working for us without knowing it. Every crime he's committed, we've documented. The FBI will arrest him tomorrow night, along with his entire Cambodian network." She should run. Should be terrified. This man was exactly what Marcus had warned her about. Dangerous, connected to crime, operating outside the law. But Marcus had lied about everything else. "Why?" she asked. "Why go through all this for me?" Jagon was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Because you reminded me why I built this organization. Justice isn't just about punishing the guilty. It's about protecting the innocent." He moved closer. "You've been living in fear for 2 years. That ends tomorrow." Tears burned in Ariel's eyes. What if it doesn't work? What if he won't? Trust me. "I don't know how to trust anyone anymore." "Then learn with me." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. His grip was warm, steady. "You're stronger than you know, Ariel. Survival takes courage. But so does choosing to stop running." She looked down at their joined hands, then back up at him. "Will I be safe? Really safe? I promise you." And somehow, from this man who operated in shadows and built empires on secrets, the words felt like truth. "After tomorrow, Marcus Reed will never touch you again." Midnight came with the crack of thunder. Marcus sat in his apartment staring at his phone. The deal was tomorrow. $5 million. Enough to disappear if he needed to. Start fresh somewhere new. But first, he needed to handle Ariel. She disrespected him, embarrassed him, made him look weak by leaving. And now she was working for some Korean criminal, probably spreading lies about him. He couldn't let that stand. Marcus checked his service weapon, checked his backup piece. He was still a cop, still had authority. If Ariel had an accident while he was trying to protect her from the dangerous man she worked for, well, these things happened. He got in his car and started driving toward the mansion. Rain pounded against the windshield. Lightning split the sky. Marcus smiled. He'd always loved a good storm. In the guest room of the main house, Ariel couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what Jagon had told her, About the organization, about Marcus walking into a trap tomorrow night, about the fact that she'd somehow ended up protected by the kind of man most people feared. But she wasn't afraid of Jagon. She was starting to understand him. He valued order, discipline, protection of what belonged under his roof. And somehow, impossibly, she belonged there now. A sound outside her window made her freeze. Footsteps, heavy ones, moving through the garden. She grabbed her phone and texted Jagon. "Someone's outside." The response came instantly. "Stay in your room. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." Her hands shook as she turned the lock, moved away from the door. The footsteps were closer now. Then, a crash. Glass breaking. Someone forcing entry through a side door. "Ariel!" Marcus's voice echoed through the mansion. "I know you're here. We need to talk, baby." She pressed her back against the wall, heart hammering. He was inside. He'd found her. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. "You can't hide from me. You're my wife. Mine." The door handle rattled. Once. Twice. Then, silence, followed by Jagon's voice, cold as winter. "That's far enough, Detective Reed." Marcus stood in the hallway, service weapon drawn, facing Han Jagon. The Korean man was unarmed, perfectly calm. 5 members of his security team flanked him, each carrying weapons that made Marcus's pistol look like a toy. But it was Jagon's expression that made Marcus hesitate. The complete absence of fear, like he was observing an insect. "You're trespassing," Jagon said quietly. "In my house. Threatening someone under my protection. That was a mistake. She's my wife. Ex-wife. And a citizen you're currently threatening with a deadly weapon." Jagon tilted his head slightly. "Tell me, Detective Reed, how exactly do you plan to explain this to your superiors? Breaking and entering. Assault with a deadly weapon. Harassment of a domestic violence survivor." Marcus's grip tightened on the gun. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know everything." Jagon's voice never rose above conversational. "I know about the Cambodian scam networks, the money laundering through your fake charity, the $2 million you've stolen, the people you've hurt." He took a step forward. "I know about every crime you've committed, Marcus. And so does the FBI." The color drained from Marcus's face. "You're lying." "Am I?" Jagon smiled, a cold, precise expression. "Check your phone." Marcus pulled out his phone with shaking hands. The screen lit up with notifications. 30, 40, 50 messages and missed calls. From his lawyer, his captain, his bank, all marked urgent. "What did you do?" Marcus whispered. "I gave you exactly what you wanted. A big score. Easy money. All you had to do was be yourself. Greedy, corrupt, and careless." Jagon's expression hardened. "Every transaction you made, we documented. Every conversation we recorded. You confessed to everything yourself. We just provided the opportunity." The gun in Marcus's hand was shaking now. "No, no, this isn't... You can't..." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. FBI, Internal Affairs, Korean National Police. Jagon checked his watch. "They should be here in approximately 90 seconds. I recommend you put the weapon down before they arrive. Firing it would only add to your charges." Marcus looked at the gun, at Jagon, at the security team, at the door where Ariel was hiding. His entire world was collapsing. "You destroyed me," he said. "No." Jagon's voice was final. "You destroyed yourself. I simply held up a mirror." The sirens were deafening now. Red and blue lights flooded through the windows. Marcus dropped the gun, fell to his knees. The man who'd terrorized Ariel for 2 years was crying. The arrest was efficient, professional. FBI agents swarmed the mansion, cuffing Marcus and reading him his rights. Internal Affairs took possession of his badge. Korean police provided documentation on the international aspects of the case. Jae-gon stood in the foyer, watching it all unfold with the same neutral expression he wore for everything. When Marcus was finally led away in handcuffs, still crying, still protesting his innocence, Jae-gon turned and walked upstairs. Ariel was standing outside her room now, face pale, arms wrapped around herself. "Is it over?" she whispered. "Yes." He stopped in front of her. "He'll spend the next 20 years in prison, possibly longer. The evidence is overwhelming." She nodded. Didn't speak. Then, without warning, her legs gave out. Jae-gon caught her before she hit the floor, lifted her easily and carried her back into the guest room, set her gently on the bed. "Breathe," he instructed. "In through your nose, out through your mouth. You're safe." "I know." Her voice was shaking. "I know I am. But my body doesn't believe me yet." He sat on the edge of the bed, maintaining careful distance. "It will take time. Trauma doesn't disappear just because the threat is gone." Ariel looked at him. This man who'd dismantled her abuser with surgical precision, who'd protected her without asking for anything in return. "Why did you really do all this?" she asked. "The truth." Jae-gon was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Because you deserve justice, and because the system that was supposed to protect you failed. I've built my life on correcting those failures. But I'm nobody. Just don't." His voice was sharp for the first time. "Don't diminish yourself. You survived 2 years of hell. You escaped. You built a new life from nothing. That takes strength most people will never understand." His expression softened slightly. "You were never nobody, Ariel. You were just surrounded by people who needed you to believe you were." Tears spilled down her cheeks. Not from fear this time, from something deeper, something that felt almost like relief. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't need to thank me." He stood. "You need to rest. In the morning, we'll talk about what comes next. For now, just breathe. Just be safe." He moved toward the door. "Mr. Han?" Ariel's voice stopped him. Will you stay? Just for a few minutes? I don't want to be alone." He turned back, studied her face. Then he nodded and sat in the chair by the window. "I'll be here." Ariel curled up on the bed, wrapped in blankets, watching him watch the rain through the window. For the first time in 2 years, she fell asleep without fear. And Jae-gon stayed exactly where he'd promised, a silent guardian in the darkness, keeping watch. The weeks that followed Marcus's arrest were strange ones. Ariel watched the news coverage with a kind of detached fascination. The story was everywhere. Decorated detectives' secret criminal empire. The FBI had uncovered not just Marcus's crimes, but an entire network of corruption. 17 other officers were under investigation. The Cambodian operation was shut down. Victims were being identified and provided support. Marcus's lawyer tried to claim entrapment. It didn't work. The evidence was too overwhelming, too meticulously gathered. He pleaded guilty to avoid trial, 25 years federal prison, no parole. When Ariel heard the sentence, she didn't feel victorious. She just felt empty. 2 years of her life, gone, stolen by a man who'd convinced her she was worthless. "You're grieving," Jae-gon said one evening. They'd fallen into a routine, tea in his study after she finished work. Quiet conversations. "That's normal. I should be happy he's gone." "You can be both." Relief and grief often coexist. He poured tea with practiced precision. "You're mourning the person you thought he was, the life you thought you'd have. That loss is real, even if the person wasn't." Ariel wrapped her hands around the warm cup. "Do you ever feel grief? For the things you've had to do?" "Yes." His answer was immediate, honest. Every time I cross a line, even for the right reasons, I feel it. But I've learned that justice isn't clean. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes it requires getting your hands dirty. Does that make you bad? It makes me human. He met her eyes. Good and evil aren't as simple as we're taught. Sometimes the most moral choice is the one that breaks the rules. Ariel sipped her tea, thinking, what happens to me now? I can't stay here forever. Why not? She blinked. Because I work for you. I'm not what? Not valuable? Not worth protecting? Jagon leaned back in his chair. Ariel, you've been organizing my files for 6 weeks. You've found errors my own accountants missed. You notice patterns, details. You have an eye for when something doesn't fit. That's just common sense. No, that's intuition, intelligence, the kind that can't be taught. He set down his cup. I've been watching you, the way you analyze situations, the way you assess risk without even realizing you're doing it. Those are survival skills, yes, but they're also valuable skills. Ariel's heart was beating faster. What are you saying? I'm saying the Black Dragon could use someone like you, not as housekeeping, as an analyst, someone who reviews contracts, identifies inconsistencies, helps us stay 3 steps ahead. He paused. If you're interested. You want me to work for you? Really work for you? I want you to have a choice. A real one. Not made from fear or desperation, but from strength. His expression softened slightly. You've survived hell, Ariel. That's made you stronger than you know. Smarter. More resilient. Those qualities don't just help you survive, they help you thrive. She stared at him. This man who'd dismantled her abuser and now sat offering her not charity, but opportunity. I don't know anything about your world. You'll learn. We all did. He stood, moving to the window. Rain streaked the glass again. It had been raining a lot lately. But I won't pressure you. Think about it. Take your time. Whatever you decide, you'll always have a place here. That's a promise. Ariel watched him standing there, silhouetted against the rainy night. She thought about the girl she'd been 2 years ago, naive, trusting, desperate to be loved. That girl was gone. Marcus had destroyed her. But maybe, just maybe, something stronger had been born from the ashes. I don't need time, she said quietly. I want to learn. I want to be useful. I want to be more than just a victim. Jagon turned back to her, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw him smile. A real smile. Small, but genuine. Then welcome to the family. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Jagon started her training slowly. Documents to review. Patterns to identify. Tony taught her about financial systems, about how money moved through the world in invisible streams, how to spot discrepancies, how to read between the lines. She was good at it. Better than good. Natural talent, Tony said one evening, impressed. Most people take months to see what you're seeing in weeks. Ariel felt something unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Pride. In herself? In her abilities? Marcus had spent 2 years convincing her she was stupid, worthless, incapable of understanding anything complex. He'd been wrong about everything. 3 months after Marcus's arrest, Ariel sat in the Black Dragon's strategy room for the first time. 5 senior members of the organization. Tony, a lawyer, 2 information specialists, and Jagon at the head of the table. They were reviewing a potential partnership. A shipping company that wanted to use Black Dragon's network for legitimate import-export business. The contract looked clean, professional. But something bothered Ariel. Can I ask a question? She said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She fought the urge to shrink back. This clause here. She pointed to a section buried in page 17. It says they retain the right to add supplementary cargo without pre-approval. That's unusual, isn't it? Tony leaned forward, scanning the contract. His expression changed. She's right. That's a red flag. Could be used to smuggle anything. The lawyer flipped through his notes. I missed that. It's worded carefully, almost invisibly. Jagon's eyes were on Ariel. What made you notice it? Marcus used to do something similar. Hide things in plain sight. Use normal-sounding language to mean something else. She met his gaze. I learned to look for the patterns. The places where words sound right but feel wrong. A long silence filled the room. Then Jagon said, Run a deep background check on the shipping company. Find out what they're really moving. If it's what I think it is, we decline. And make sure they understand why. Tony nodded and left to make calls. The meeting continued, but Ariel felt something shift. The way the others looked at her had changed. Not with pity, not with caution, with respect. That night, Jagon found her on the mansion's roof terrace. She'd discovered it weeks ago. A quiet place where she could think. You did well today, he said, standing beside her at the railing. The city lights spread out below them like stars. I just saw something that didn't fit. You saved us from a partnership with a human trafficking operation. Tony confirmed it an hour ago. He turned to face her. That's not small, Ariel. That's the kind of work that matters. She looked at him. Really looked. Saw the man beneath the controlled exterior. The one who'd chosen to build an empire not on fear, but on principles. Why do you do this? She asked. You could live quietly, use your money for anything. Why fight other people's battles? Because someone fought mine once. His voice was quiet, reflective. When I was younger, angrier, I made mistakes. Bad ones. Someone gave me a choice. Keep destroying myself, or channel that anger into something that mattered. Building justice where the system failed. Who was it? My grandfather. He ran the Black Dragon before me, taught me that power without purpose is just violence. But power with purpose? That can change the world. He smiled slightly. Or at least change it for the people who need it most. Ariel felt her throat tighten. You changed it for me. You changed it for yourself. I just removed the obstacle. He reached out, and this time she didn't hesitate. She took his hand. You're not a victim anymore, Ariel. You're a survivor. And soon, you'll be something more. What? A protector. Like the rest of us. The words settled over her like a warm blanket. Not charity, not rescue, partnership, equality. She squeezed his hand and he squeezed back. The rain had stopped. Stars were visible through the breaking clouds, and for the first time in years, Ariel felt like she could breathe. 6 months later, Ariel stood in the same strategy room where she'd proven her worth. But this time, she wasn't sitting at the side of the table. She was presenting. The Portland operation has 3 weak points, she explained, using the digital screen to highlight specific locations. Here, here, and here. If we approach from these angles, we can shut down the gambling ring without alerting their enforcement arm. Tony nodded approvingly. The lawyer made notes. Jagon watched from his seat at the head of the table, expression unreadable as always. The families involved will need protection, Ariel continued. I've identified safe houses in 2 locations. We can move them before the FBI makes arrests. Timeline? Jagon asked. 72 hours. Gives us enough cushion for variables. He nodded once. Execute it. The meeting ended. Members filtered out. Ariel packed up her materials, heart still racing with adrenaline. Ariel. Jagon's voice stopped her. Stay for a moment. She turned back. He stood by the windows now, hands in his pockets, looking out at the garden where cherry blossoms were blooming again. You've come far, he said, From the young woman scrubbing floors to the analyst presenting operations to the inner circle. That transformation is remarkable. I had good teachers. You had determination. That matters more. He turned to face her. There's something I need to say. Something I've been avoiding. Ariel's breath caught. In 6 months, she'd learned to read him better than most, and right now, he looked almost uncertain. When I first saw you in this house, he continued, I saw someone in pain, someone who needed help. That's what motivated me initially. Justice, protection, principles. And now? Now I see someone extraordinary, someone who took their trauma and transformed it into strength. Someone who makes me laugh, who challenges my decisions, who sees through my walls the same way I saw through yours. He moved closer. Somewhere along the way, my motivation changed. Her heart was hammering. Changed how? I'm not good at this, he admitted. Emotions, vulnerability, I've spent my life building walls. But you, he stopped in front of her. You make me want to tear them down. Ariel couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at this man, this powerful, disciplined, controlled man, standing in front of her looking almost nervous. What are you saying? She whispered. I'm saying I care about you, not as an employee, not as someone I'm protecting, as... He took her hand. As someone I want in my life. Truly in my life. If you want that too. The words hung in the air between them. Precious, fragile, real. Ariel thought about the journey that had brought her here, the pain, the fear, the slow, difficult climb back to herself. She thought about Jagon watching over her, teaching her, seeing her worth when she couldn't see it herself. I was so afraid, she said quietly. After Marcus, I thought I'd never trust anyone again, never want anyone close. But you, she squeezed his hand. You never pushed, never demanded. You just stayed, even when I was difficult, even when I was scared. You had every right to be scared. I know, but I'm not anymore. Not of you. She reached up, touching his face gently. You showed me what real strength looks like, what real protection looks like, what it means when someone truly sees you. And? His voice was barely above a whisper. And I want this. Us. Whatever that looks like. She smiled, feeling tears prick her eyes. You saved my life, Jagon. But more than that, you gave it back to me. Made me remember who I could be. He pulled her close then, wrapping his arms around her. She melted into the embrace, feeling safe in a way she'd never felt with anyone. I have conditions, he murmured against her hair. She laughed softly. Of course you do. First, we move slowly, at your pace. No pressure. Ever. He pulled back to look at her. Second, you continue your work, your independence. You're not my possession. You're my partner. In everything. And third? Third, you let me love you. The real you. Not the version you think I want to see. The messy, complicated, brilliant, stubborn person you actually are. Ariel felt tears spill over. Happy ones. I can do that. Good. He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face. Because I'm not very good at this romance thing. I'll probably be too protective, too controlled, too... She kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, he was staring at her with wonder. I'll take my chances, she whispered. 1 year later, Ariel Carter sat in her office, her actual office with her name on the door, reviewing files for the Black Dragon's latest operation. She was 21 now, senior analyst, trusted member of the inner circle, the woman who'd gone from victim to survivor to warrior. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jagon. Dinner tonight? I'm cooking. She smiled. He'd been learning Korean dishes from his grandmother's recipes. The results were improving. Your place or mine? Ours. The word made her heart warm. They'd moved in together 3 months ago. Not the mansion, a smaller place in the hills. Private. Theirs. A space where Jaegon could be just Jay. Where Ariel could be just Ariel. Where they could build something that belonged only to them. There was a knock on her door. Tony stuck his head in. Got a minute? There's someone here to see you. Ariel followed him to the main conference room. Inside stood a young woman, maybe 19, with bruises she was trying to hide and fear in her eyes. This is Maria, Tony said gently. She heard about what we do. What you do. She needs help. Ariel recognized that look. The desperate hope mixed with terror. The way she held herself. Small, defensive, ready to run. She'd seen it in the mirror 2 years ago. Ariel sat down across from Maria and spoke in the same calm, steady tone Jaegon had once used with her. Tell me everything, and don't be afraid. You're safe here. As Maria began to speak, her story pouring out in broken sentences and trembling words, Ariel felt something profound settle in her chest. Purpose. She'd been through hell. She'd survived. And now she could help others do the same. The black dragon protected its own. And Maria, like Ariel once had, just became family. That night, Ariel came home to find Jaegon in the kitchen, actually wearing an apron, stirring something that smelled amazing. How was your day? He asked as she wrapped her arms around him from behind. We took on a new case. Young woman, abusive situation. Police aren't helping. What do you need? Full investigation, background check on the abuser, safe house, the usual. She rested her head against his back. I told her we'd handle it. Then we will. He turned in her arms, looking down at her with that soft expression he reserved only for her. You're good at this. Helping people. I learned from the best. I don't know about that. He kissed her forehead. But I do know you're inspirational. Watching you transform your pain into power. It's motivational. For everyone. She laughed. Are you getting sentimental on me? Maybe. He smiled. Is that allowed? For you? Always. They swayed together in the kitchen. No music playing, just the sound of rain starting to fall outside. The same rain that had fallen the night they met. The night everything changed. I love you, Jaegon said quietly. I don't say it enough. But I do. More than I thought I was capable of. I know. Ariel looked up at him. I love you too, my protector, my partner, my family. Speaking of family, he hesitated. My grandmother wants to meet you. Officially. With the whole traditional Korean family dinner. Fair warning. She's going to ask about children immediately. Ariel's eyes widened. Children. Eventually. Maybe. If you want. He looked almost nervous again. I'm not proposing. Not yet. I know we're taking things slow, but I'm thinking long term. With you. If that's... She kissed him again, deeper this time. When they broke apart, she was smiling. I'm thinking long term too. And yes to meeting your grandmother. Even if she asks about babies. Fair warning, she's terrifying. Good. So am I. He laughed. A real, full laugh that lit up his whole face. Then he pulled her close, holding her like she was precious, like she mattered. Because she did. The girl who'd been broken had been reborn. Not as someone new, but as herself. Stronger, wiser, more whole. She'd found justice, found purpose, found love. And in the shadow of the black dragon, surrounded by chosen family, Ariel Carter had finally found home. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. If this story touched your heart, A like and subscribe helps us bring more inspirational stories of love and healing. What part of Ariel's transformation resonated most with you? Drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, you're stronger than you know, and you deserve a love that sees you for exactly who you are.